Welcome to TakeaSide, the sports talk show that lets you, the viewer, choose our winners. As always, head over to sided.co and get on that Sided Debates app for your chance to climb up that leaderboard. Shout out to last week's winner, Albert Long, for taking the top spot and winning a $25 Amazon gift card. The NFL draft is just 2 days away, and there's a lot of buzz over which quarterbacks will be taken in the early first round. Clemson's Trevor Lawrence is widely considered the favorite for the number one overall pick, but there's a lot of speculation over which quarterback will be taken next. North Dakota State's Trey Lance and BYU's Zach Wilson have been receiving a lot of buzz, while Ohio State's Justin Fields and Alabama's Mac Jones remain in contention. I'm joined now by Blake Sevenbergen, Jack McGarr, and Max McElroy by Zoom to debate which quarterback will be the second off the board after Trevor Lawrence.
Well, I think that this is an obvious answer. I think you go, oh, who's the quarterback that's the biggest? Who's got the most, got the most meat on him, weighs the most, biggest arm, and the most athletic. And Trey Lance is that quarterback. I think it is very clear that you have one quarterback who, honestly, can throw the ball super far down the field, can run, can not only run, he can light people up. And I think that these qualities and this gives him the highest ceiling in the draft. And I think that it's gonna pay dividends for him. Even if you can develop certain things like that, those qualities you cannot recreate, or you can't ask for anything more than that, really.
Yeah, so I'm going to have to disagree with you, Max. When Trey Lance last year got to play one game, it was against Eastern Washington, and his completion percentage was only 50%. He might have a cannon of an arm, but does it really matter if he can't hit the person he's throwing it to? That's my big concern. With Trey Lance, why I think here that Justin Fields is hands down out of these four, the best quarterback left. In only 8 games, he threw 22 touchdowns, ran for 5. He got obliterated in the Clemson game, injured himself, and still went out there and won the game with 6 touchdowns, 70% completion rate. I don't think it gets any better than the grit, the competitiveness, and then the play on top of it.
I agree. I think both quarterbacks bring a lot of athleticism to the field. I think both quarterbacks bring a lot of good qualities as far as athleticism and speed can go. But I think if you're looking at intelligence and who's the smartest quarterback in the draft right now outside of Trevor Lawrence, I think that's Mac Jones. I think he really brings that intelligence and that he's just so smart. He might not have the athleticism as the other quarterbacks in the draft, but when you look at a quarterback, you should have a quarterback that's going to make the right passes, make the right decisions in game. You don't need the most athletic quarterback in the draft. I think Mac Jones gives you that in this draft outside of Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, and
Here's my problem. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Max.
Mac Jones has the production for sure, but Trey Lance, he was offered by Cornell and Brown to play football. Like, this guy is a smart guy. And from what I've seen with NFL scouts is everyone says the intangibles in Trey Lance's mind, it is there. It's just the production, like Blake said, it's his completion percentage in college was never really that great. However, the thing with that is neither was Josh Allen's. And look what that ended up for Josh Allen. He was an MVP finalist this year. So it's not like, and I think Trey Lance also will have the best chance to succeed because he will be able to sit for a little bit. I don't think he's a day one starter, but I think he's going to be able to sit, learn a little bit more, and then with those just absolute gifts of athletic ability that he has, it's going to be so hard for him to really fail or bust out of the NFL.
I think another problem with Trey Lance is he only threw 318 passes in his time in college, and that's not as nearly as many as some of the other guys threw. I think that, yes, he probably has the intangibles. He's smart enough to play football, but he's inexperienced
the FCS compared to these guys. I'm just a little worried with where he's at. And then another problem I have with Mac Jones is he's not a mobile quarterback. As you can see, the trend in the NFL now is going towards players that are athletic, mobile guys like Russell Wilson. Patrick Mahomes can run, Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, the list goes on. And Mac Jones doesn't fit that role. San Francisco said that Jimmy Garoppolo is a failed plan at quarterback for what they had, and Mac Jones is similar in play style. I don't understand the pick there, and I would go with Justin Fields.
I think really when you look at Mac Jones, again, yes, I agree. He's not the most athletic quarterback, and I think the trend in the NFL does agree that people like Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, the athletic, speedy quarterbacks they don't have to throw it all the time. I think that's the trend in the NFL. And I agree that Mac Jones doesn't fit that. But at the end of the day, who's winning all the Super Bowls? It's Tom Brady. He's not the most athletic quarterback in the league. He's not even close to the smartest quarterback. He is the smartest quarterback, far and above. And that's really what wins you championships because, you don't need the most athletic. You need an offensive line that can protect your quarterback and a quarterback that's going to make the right passes at the end of the day. in the biggest situations, and I think that's what Mac Jones brings. I think he's got all the smarts, he's got all the intelligence that really comes for a quarterback.
Well, and you say that, and in all reality, I believe it's going to be whatever team goes or whatever quarterback goes to the 49ers is easily going to have the most success. I mean, that team is ready to win now. Whichever quarterback goes there, where a lot of teams like Trev has to go to the Jaguars, and who knows how that's going to be. Zach Wilson's projected to go to the Jets. So, these are organizations that are historically dysfunctional. So you have, whichever quarterback goes to the 49ers, I think it'll be Trey Lance. And I think the problem with Jimmy Garoppolo, I don't think it's anything near his production. I think it's his injuries. And I think that they need a quarterback who can be there for, all 17 games now and will be able to play that and then go into the playoffs. I think that Jimmy G, when he's hurt, that team struggles and he is hurt pretty often. So I think that that's definitely something that they're trying to stay away from. And you look at Trey Lance. Also, a whole thing about him is he is only 19 years old, and all of the film that he had, when he had 43 touchdowns and 0 interceptions, he was 19. So it's very, I'm not going to say unfair to criticize him, but it seems like that is something that needs to be taken into account because he is 1 year younger than me when he was just absolutely dominating at the Division I FCS level.
Here's the thing, though.
I say if, like you said, Jimmy Garoppolo had an injury problem, wouldn't you go with Justin Fields then? I mean, he's able to take a hit. He plays in the Big Ten, which is one of, hands down, the toughest conferences in football, and he never lost a game. He never lost a Big Ten conference game. He's been able to take a hit. He got a rib injury against Clemson, like I mentioned before, that was nasty. He got rocked, and he came back in the game, played out of his mind. I just think the overall grit that he plays with is something that every NFL team should want.
I think really just going back to what Max said too, it's really whoever goes to the 49ers that's going to have the biggest success story here. And I think when you look at the quarterbacks that I think will go to the 49ers, I think Mac Jones is their top pick at the number 3 spot. Because if you look at Garoppolo, him and Garoppolo are very similar quarterbacks. And again, I think as Max said before, the injury problem with Garoppolo was really the main concern there. I think if he stayed healthy the entire time, I think they may have a championship to their resume, especially against the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. I think Mac Jones resembles Jimmy Garoppolo in a lot of ways. And knowing how smart Jimmy Garoppolo is really a sentiment to what Mac Jones can bring to a team. And I think with that offensive line in front of him, he's going to make the right decisions every time. He's got a running back behind him. He's got wide receivers next to him. I mean, he can really shine at the 49ers.
Yeah, I'll give the thing that Mac Jones has for him is he throws a beautiful football with great touch. It is amazing. The ball it really floats off of his hands. But this whole thing is, I think if Mac Jones goes to the 49ers, that's going to be the best for winning as soon as possible. Where I think if you have the patience to develop a franchise quarterback, I don't think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be very similar with Buffalo and Josh Allen, and you're going to have just Trey Lance will just develop into his own guy, and people won't be able to rush him because he's only 20 years old. He's going to turn 21 in June, and so you have this quarterback who from a great quarterback historic school and Carson Wentz, Easton Stick. Josh Allen went to North Dakota State for a little bit, and you have this player who's just going to be able to develop and grow. And by the time he can be a starting quarterback, he'll be 23 years old. I mean, the upside on that guy is just absolutely wild, and I think that he will have the most success because I think he's going to go to a great organization. And the further he falls, the better it is for him.
I think
3 quarterbacks have a bright future in the NFL. I agree with the San Francisco statement about whoever ends up there is going to have the best career. Let's go to Jacob now to hear his thoughts on Zach Wilson.
Yeah, well, personally, I've got to go with Zach Wilson at that number 2 overall pick. His ability to extend plays in a pistol-heavy offense makes him a guy I wouldn't want to miss out on. But that's all the time we have for today. Be sure to give us a follow on all social media platforms at TakeaSideKU and get on that Sided Debates app. For all of us here at TakeaSide, I'm Jacob Polachek, and we'll see you next week for our last show.